Hey everybody, and welcome back. So what we're going to do today is replace the ball joints, the bushings on the Mustang 2. So we're going to break all this stuff down here, replace the upper and lower ball joints, the bushings on the back of the control arm right there, and then the same with on the other side, and then the lower one that is right there. So what I'm going to do first is take this bracket off, knock the tie rod out, and then I have to put a jack underneath this to keep the spring from popping out, and then we do have to take off the sway bar, so we'll move that thing out of the way, and then we'll start breaking everything down. You got to grind these rivets out to replace the ball joints, upper and lower. So let's get into this. Alright, so let's start breaking everything down. We'll get the tie rod off first. That's out of the way. Since it's already been changed, it's a 11/16 to take the nut off. We'll undo the brake line to the caliper, and that's a 5/8. Just make sure you don't bust your knuckle. Feels great. We'll take this bracket off, and that is 3/4. And then same with the one on the inside. And then also don't worry about the spring coming out, because your shock is still holding the coil from falling out. So when you take this apart, don't be scared. 1/2 inch. It's a 9/16 because I changed these already. So I don't know where my ratcheting one is, or else we'd be done. This bolt nut, 11/16. Shock will drop straight out the bottom. And then we can remove the spindle, get that out of the way. Cool. Alright, so on the upper control, there's 2 nuts that are right here, and those are actually for your adjusters for adjusting your front end. So all we got to do now is undo these 2, and then there's 2 little, they're kind of like a carriage bolt, they'll slip out, and then you just pull this upper one off, and then the bottom is just one bolt that runs through, and it's 3/4, so they're both 3/4 inch. All right, so now we got both the control arms out. We'll drill the rivets out and knock the ball joints out, and then also heat these up with a heat gun and slide the inserts out on the inside of the bushing, and then just push the bushing out because it'll break the seal. So just got to do that one, and then also the upper one. He's cleaning all the grease off of that, and then we'll just, like I said, take those rivets, drill them out on the upper and lower ball joints, and then we'll push, set in the new ones, and they just bolt in. So one side's already done for taking everything apart, getting all the bushings out, all the ball joints out. So I'll show you guys how to do that on this one right here and the other one outside. Chisel it out, or knock that retainer out with a chisel. This thing will stay. So now I just gotta paint those upper and lower control arms. Right now they're just, I sprayed them with some degreaser, that way they can soak. I'll pressure wash them and then paint them, throw the new bushings and upper and lower ball joints in them, and then we'll throw them back in the car. All right, so upper and lower control arms are all painted. Now I just gotta slide the bushings in. Shouldn't be too difficult. You just put on the grease that they provide you with, and then you slide them together. And then we'll bolt the ball joints in, so you don't have to press them in, which is awesome. And then the next thing I gotta do is just paint one of the other coils, and then, or one of the coil springs, and then that's it. So these ones over here, I got the all these over here kind of drying right now. So the spindles and the dust shields. So yeah, everything will look nice and clean underneath the car. So yeah, let's get into pressing these bushings in. All right, so there's your part number, full kit. And then they also give you all of your lube for these, all your all your bushings and everything. And this is for the lower one. And then all the smaller ones, of course, are for the upper one. And they give you new cups too if you have to replace these ones, which luckily we didn't have to replace these ones. So yeah, they say use a little bit of this on all of it. So on the insert, the bushing, inside of the cup, that way they don't squeak and everything slides together really easy. We don't have a problem. So they give you quite a bit of this stuff too. I mean, they give you 2 of them, and there's quite a bit. This one has a lot more in it, so you're not gonna run out. All right, I'm gonna do a time lapse, and we'll get this side done, and then we'll start doing the ball joints, and then the other side, you guys don't need to see me do that because it's gonna be the same step. All right, now it's time to put in the ball joints. There's your upper, and there's your lower. These are probably the easiest ball joints you can install, just because they bolt right in there. There's your hardware. There's your ball joint. There's your boot. So all you gotta do, you guys can see, just slide into the top. Boot goes on after you slide it together. There's your hardware. And these ones are, they're like a crushed nut or whatever. I can't remember the name of them. They won't back out. They go up through the bottom, your bolts do. Then your nut slips on. Locking nut, that's what it was. Duh. Self-locking. So yeah, just like that. Oops. There we go. The reason why you put them up is so they don't protrude down and they get into your spindle. And these are 9/16. We'll torque them once we get it on the car. So that's it for the upper one. That one's done. We'll do the lower one. This one's really easy too. Same thing, just bolts in. This one comes in up through the bottom. And you got your retainer, and it slips on there like that. So it sits in like this. I guess this little cutout probably goes right here just in case you get water up in there or something. I guess so it'll run off. Then you got your dust boot, all your hardware. These ones are just regular bolts and nuts, and they have a lock washer. So yeah, this one slides up from the bottom. Then you put your boot on. Put your retainer or whatever in there. Same thing. Actually, these ones go in through the top, not the bottom. These ones are 1/2 inch. I don't know where, there it is. And we'll torque these when we get them in the car also. So that is it for the upper and lower ball joints. All right, so let's get the upper control arm put on, and then we'll throw the lower one in there, bolt that in, bolt the upper one in, and then what we'll do is we'll slide that coil in there, and then slide the jack up underneath the ball joint, jack it up, that way we can slip it into the pocket, and then once we get it high enough in, then we'll take the spindle you know, and set it in where it's supposed to go. And then that'll hold everything together, and then we'll just throw this shock back in once all that's done. So I'm going to do a time lapse of that, because it's just going to be as the same as when I took it apart, you know, just in reverse. So let's get into it. Alright, so we got the upper and lower ball joints in. The upper and lower control arm bushings are all done on the car. I do need to order the sway bar link bushings and also the ones that go up to the frame. But I'm going to end the video here because on the wheelwood kit, it's pretty detailed. You got to shim it and do a bunch of the stuff. So on the next video, I'll show you guys how to install that stuff. So if you guys did like today's video on getting the upper and lower ball joints and the bushings replaced on the control arms, make sure you guys hit that like and subscribe button, also the notification bell. That way you guys can stay notified when I go to put on the new wheelwood setup. Thanks for watching, everybody. Until next time, later.